especially whenever it comes to utility. And sometimes one NFT collection will come up with a new use case that a lot of other NFT collections pick up on and incorporate into their own collections or games. And I think it's really fun because we're all here to talk about DAOs. And I think that this has really been the conversation topic highlight of 2022, especially on other blockchains. On our own blockchain, we've seen a big swing of interest in DAOs with Mike D Crypto introducing the waxDAO.io. And a lot of indie collectors were able to be a part of that and still are a part of that. And we haven't seen too much about DAOs on Wax until Alien Worlds has introduced their syndicate structure and governance. So we're going to be digging into that today. I'm very excited to host this space. And as always, I'm hosting it with my lovely co-host, Tommy. And then we're going to have Stacy and Max as representatives from Alien Worlds.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Stacy. And also, hello, Max.
Hello.
So we're going to start this space off with kind of a generalized, short overview of what Aliens Worlds really is for any of the people who are listening to this and may not be familiar, even though you're such a massive game in the space. You never know what people do and don't know. So we'll go over what Aliens Worlds is in general, and then we'll really define what DAOs are. And once we have the two ideas established, we'll jump into how Alien Worlds DAO infrastructure is a necessary step for the future development of the Alien World game. And so I know that's really the ultimate exciting part of the conversation. So I'll try to be really quick with this little mini interview. So Stacey and Max, would you please describe who you are and what your involvement is in Alien Worlds?
Sure, I can go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy. I'm head of communications at Decoco, which are the largest contributing company to the Alien Worlds metaverse. And Max, will you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hey, everybody. I'm Max, and I support product and strategy. Really excited to be here today.
Well, thank you both for your introductions. I'm excited for you both to be here too. You all come from a very high place inside of the Alien Worlds, and it's an honor to be able to talk with you in these spaces. How would you really describe the Alien Worlds game to someone who doesn't know much about blockchain game ecosystems?
Interesting. Well, that's a question we're constantly thinking about the answer to. I know how to describe it with a bunch of Web3 jargon. To describe it in a less blockchain gaming way, I would say that we're an ecosystem that has technology underlying everything that is open and invites our communities to come in and build in a way that you can't necessarily do with traditional gaming. And the way that this happens actually is leveraged by blockchain gaming, and you don't necessarily have to know about that too intimately to know that this technology is leveraging gaming and a number of other things in ways that creates opportunities that haven't necessarily been created before. So our game is, we have a few sort of standalone activities, but they're also all connected. And to start throwing in a little bit of some Web3 jargon, we have NFTs in our game, over 11 million NFTs. They have in-game functionality and utility, so you can sort of think of them as Magic the Gathering cards that have different levels and powers and advantages and so forth when you play them in our game. And we also have a mining activity that allows you to mine a scarce resource, which is called Trillium. That is our in-game fungible token. You can just know, if you're not too privy to blockchain concepts, you can just know that like you would mine coal or gold, you're mining this scarce resource in our game. And what you're also doing is mining crypto. And you can use our NFTs and that Trillium to then stake and vote in our newly opened DAO governance. So we call our DAOs in-game syndicates. We have planets in the game, and they are all syndicates, which are leveraged by decentralized autonomous organization technology. And we have very recently, just a number of days ago, opened up these syndicates to basically be taken over by our players and our community members to do, among many other things, manage very sizable treasuries that each one of them have been accruing since the start of our game in late 2020. And that's kind of a nutshell, broad overview. Max, please feel free to jump in if I forgot anything.
Nailed it. We're also cross-chain too. So we're on the BNB chain. We have a game called Missions, which users can essentially lock up, the token, and at the end of a period, they share a pool and also get additional NFT rewards.
Fantastic. I think that wrapped it up really well, Stacey, and I like the addition that you were able to add, Max, about being on the BNB chain and how you have different subset games within your games for different people to utilize. I think that's really important for games to have. And I'm curious to know if you have a mission statement or what the ultimate mission is of Alien Worlds.
Yeah, so in a very general sense, we are creating a community-based metaverse. So the company that created Alien Worlds and is the largest contributing company at the moment to our metaverse are early architects in DAC and DAO software, so decentralized autonomous communities and organizations. And they were kind of pioneering some of this technology in starting around 2018. And so that community aspect, that what the DAO technology and these mechanisms there within allow people to do is to have ownership in a way that they haven't necessarily had it before, especially within gaming. For instance, actually the potential to actually own your own assets versus having like a centralized gaming company own your assets, for instance. And then the DAO architecture also supports community consensus and groups being able to come together and make decisions about what's valuable to them. So that is a huge part of our ethos, is creating the tools that allow our players to come in and do that. And it brings us great joy to be able to create these tools because it's something that we're all passionate about, that the founders of our company are very passionate about. And so this idea of decentralized communities and supporting community collaboration and community governance and the governance of other types of assets and stores of value is really at the heart of what we do, and we're very passionate about it.
I'm so excited to hear whenever Tommy gets to get into those really deep questions about how they interlock with the Alien Worlds game itself, with the DAOs and the syndicates, and how the government or in the governance system really benefits the player base and the collector base. So I'm excited to hear those answers, and I know that that's what this whole space is going to be about. But we really wanted to get out the educational parts first, just in case any of you are listeners in the future maybe were unfamiliar with DAOs. I think we're doing a really fantastic job with introducing it for the first time for those listeners. So I know that it's been the buzzword, and I know that you've kind of gone over briefly what a DAO is. But as far as what it's capable of in general, and you all were very invested in the early stages of what DAO culture could be, what DAO mechanisms are for the community, how would you describe a DAO and what the responsibilities are of people who create DAOs?
Well, I'll try to take this one. There's many interpretations of what a DAO is and what a DAO isn't, but I feel like most of the people on this call would know DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. We come from a time when they're called DACs, and that stands for Decentralized Autonomous Communities, or collectives or cooperatives. We'd often interchange what the C would mean in those. But yeah, I see DAOs as a way to fundamentally just store community-based resources or something in a collective resource pool. This could be a token, this could be an NFT that represents something within a community. Ultimately, I see DAOs being able to create their own assets, manage their own assets, distribute their own stores of value. Effectively generating their own culture and beliefs towards a cause that can meet their collective needs.
I love this answer. I think that it's very informative about the different types of DAO structures that can be in place as well, and how really the use of the DAO is only limited to the creativity itself behind the autonomous organization that's behind it. So I think it's important to also note that a lot of different DAOs can go in a lot of different directions, and I think it's going to be really exciting to really delve deep into how you all have used the government system specifically for your planets. And we're really excited to ask those questions in just a moment. And before we get into it, I have this one last question really about what the responsibility of someone involved with a DAO is. So if they were a part of this autonomous organization or wanted to have their vote counted towards the DAO itself, what else comes with I guess really ultimately just the responsibility aspect itself? Is that something that has to stay consistent? Is it a one-time kind of situation where you get to be involved, or how do DAOs in your infrastructure really work when it comes to the users working inside of it?
Yeah, I could address the mechanics of it and then kind of go more into what we speculate will happen. So yeah, effectively every week, these custodians are voted into these DAOs. They're elected by the token holders through stake weighted voting. So the longer the token holders stake up their trillium, they must convert it to this planetary token, depending what planet they want to participate on. They stake it up in this stake weighted voting. And the longer they stake it, the more their votes are worth for those candidates they want to support. So every voter can vote for two candidates. And then once a week, there's a snapshot taken effectively, and the new leaders of this planetary syndicate are in charge, or these planetary DAOs. So yeah, that happens perpetually every week, and it can change dynamically. Then those leaders of those planets will be able to claim 2% of that planet's treasury. And from there, they can start creating proposals from their spending account. And this will allow them to support whatever products or services or whatever they have in mind for their community, depending on their community ethos and the culture of that planet. So just to answer where I think this is going, this is such a hard answer question. I think our first election ends today or tomorrow. And I mean, who knows what will happen? I'm truly excited to see, what cultural attributes come out of these planets. I would suspect they'll need to add significant value to their communities to stay elected. So, it could be straight up promotion towards the planets. It could be marketing, or it's the sky's the limit. It's really like you stated earlier, it's really up to the creativity of the participants.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so antsy to hand over the mic to Tommy, who's going to really lead us into the deep dive of how Alien Worlds has decided to utilize their DAO infrastructure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Snazzy. I'm really interested in this myself. I've been kind of trying to sneak into different Twitter spaces and listen in what the community's been saying. So first and foremost, I've been seeing articles and posts, space calls, all revolving around the word syndicate. So what exactly are syndicates and their responsibilities?
Sure. Well, syndicates are what we name our in-game DAOs, essentially. They're kind of groups or clans or guilds, as many people might be familiar with, and they're leveraged by this DAO technology. So rather than just necessarily calling them DAOs, which a lot of people might not be familiar with, or if somebody is coming from more traditional Web 2 gaming and they see DAO, they might not necessarily have any entry point into that. But things like gaming guilds and gaming syndicates and so forth are definitely a little bit more accessible. And so our syndicates, that's what they are. Each planet is its own community that's leveraged by this DAO technology. And so that's pretty much why they're called that. Really just to kind of be more accessible to a larger group of people and to let everyone know that we're inviting everyone in here. So, yeah.
I really like the name Syndicate. It reminds me of just like kind of sci-fi, and obviously that's what you're all about, is like sci-fi in the metaverse. Like, how does Syndicate's something I've heard before. How do syndicates themselves fit within like the mythos of the alien world's metaverse?
Yeah, the planetary DAOs, or the syndicates, as they're called, are effectively competing against each other for resources. So on each of these planets, there is land that was that is held by landholders, and those landholders have created a vast number of communities to encourage mining on their lands. And so when a user mines, they get the reward in Trillium. The landholder benefits from that, and as well as the planet or the planetary DAO. So those treasuries have actually been filling up since the beginning of mining, and they're in different quantities. So the more engagement that has occurred on those planets actually have more resources. So if you're on the Wax Blockchain Explorer, for example, you could see these planets as accounts, and they're actually like Neron.world, Neri.world. You can see how much Trillium is held in each one of those, and that'll be the allocated amount, that 2% that I'm speaking of, that they can claim every week. So so effectively, the planet treasuries have been governed by already by those landholders, kind of delegating engagement or trying to get as much engagement as possible to fill up those treasuries.
That's really cool. Are there aspects? I didn't know you could look at this on the straight on the blockchain. I thought this would be in game. That's really cool. To finish my thought, sorry. Was there aspects of a syndicate's position that overflows into other games or projects?
It looks like it's happening. I've heard rumors of like game studios applying to be, leaders on some of these DAOs. I mean, that's just a rumor, but I've heard of unexpected individuals wanting to run on these things, and I think they see what can be extracted out of these these syndicates or planets, and I think they're strategizing around that, but it's yet to be determined. So definitely stay tuned about that.
Awesome. Was the DAO an original part of the Alien Worlds roadmap?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So originally,